Now, the Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, has spent another night in the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. He is accused of allegedly laundering and diverting about 80 billion naira. Tiffany Sien has more in this report.
EFCC's arrest of the Accountant General of the Federation, Mr. Ahmed Idris, continues to elicit reactions across various platforms. Prominent among the reaction is a comment by a former aide to former President Goodluck Jonathan. Reno Omokri says, quote, "Dear ASU, if the Accountant General of the Federation can steal 80 billion, you have no reason to end your strike. After all, the money ASU is asking for is not even up to 80 billion. End of quote. Sources at the commission say several invitations made to Mr. Idris was not honored. That was why their operatives were sent to Kano to pick up the Accountant General, and afterwards he was flown to the Commission's headquarters here in Abuja and is being held at the Commission's headquarters detention facility.
Now, joining me in the studio is a Harvard certified leadership strategist and consultant, Dr. John Ekundayo, to have a conversation to discuss this issue. Thank you so much for being with us on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, what came to your mind when you heard about the corruption allegation against the Accountant General of the Federation, Idris Ahmed, by the EFCC?
It was another upsetting news, and this is something that has been recurring, and not just in this present government, even in past government. And it's high time issues of high-profile corruption like this were nipped in the bud, were crippled or checkmated. You see, because for those of us who at one time or the other had to do one thing or the other outside the country, like studying, like residing there, for work or doing mission work, when the name of Nigeria is mentioned, the thing that pop up, unfortunately, is corruption, is scam. You see, and when this begins to happen at the high level of government, it's worrisome. Even in at this time we are in. So that's my take on that. It's really upsetting. It's worrisome. But then we need to do some things. How about our existing law? They are weak. You see, you hear that, or you read in the newspaper, somebody stealing a goat, somebody stealing a ram, or some tubers of yam, and the poor fellow is sentenced to 3 years imprisonment.
Or stealing seasoning.
Without labor. And you hear something like this, after now EFCC will charge him to court, and then some other the court case can even go on at the platoon. You can go on 3 years, 5 years. And many of us will have forgotten the importance of this issue, which is, and this call for the National Assembly thinking on our laws and going back to really strengthen this law. If we are really serious, if we really have the political will to make things happen as is happening in other developed nations, is that you can't just go into the account of the government and pay for any fund like that. You can't do it.
Well, the EFCC alleged that the AGF Idris Ahmed raked off the funds through bogus consultancies and other illegal activities using proxies, family members, etc. So these funds, according to them, they said, and I quote, "These funds were laundered through real estate investment in Kano and Abuja." What does this say about the person involved in this kind of, office?
Well, the thing is, before somebody's appointment could be confirmed as State Accountant General, or even Accountant General of the Federation for that matter, is due diligence ought to have been done, over the years. You see, because if somebody had been in certain position, for some time at lower level, you will have seen some reflexes, some things. So, but these days, most of our appointments, it's worrisome that they are not based on merit. They're rather based on, nepotism, familiarity. I know him, and things like that. You see, we were discussing this somewhere yesterday, and somebody said 80 billion. Now, this guy cannot just amassed that money. Now, it said that it's laundered in the real estate, it was through POSI, through friends and so on. He said he is not the only one. And because he's not the only one, that, let me tell you, the whole thing will fizzle away. If that is the case, at the end of the day, then we are not serious as a nation, because it will keep on occurring. You see, I remember the pension fund, you know, years ago, you know, I don't know, you know, at the end of the day, how much was the sentence? How many years? And then left off the hook or whatever like that. So somebody else will be embodied too, you know, and carry out another dastard acts in future. And
they'll go for plea bargaining.
And we go for plea bargaining at the end of the day. And what are we portraying to the outside world? Are we a nation of vandals? Do we really, you know, appreciate the, you know, the implication of this on our nation, especially when we are saying we want to attract foreign direct investment to our nation? How does that speak to people that want to come from North America, from Europe, from Oceania, to come and do business in Nigeria, when there is high profile corruption in government of our nation, and then we are not even trying, we are not even lifting a finger to arrest this rot? You see, so I'm calling on the National Assembly. It is time, it is high time, you know, to look at the extant laws and strengthen it so that, you know, cases like this will be checkmated.
Just like you said, 80 billion naira is a huge sum of money.
It's a huge sum of money. You know, somebody was analyzing that yesterday, and he said, okay, supposing this guy is spending 1 million every day, 1 million, and then in a year, 365 million. And he was calculating, let's assume that he will live more so years. You know, the man was saying, he cannot exhaust this money. So you can see greed. What is making an average Nigerian to be greedy? You know, you look at this, and people go into ritual because they want to make money. People go into 419, people, they want to make money. They don't even think about their life anymore, whether they will live 3 years after. People are just, it's like, let me just have the money for 1 year. You know, and then what is happening to those of us who are grandfathers? We look back. It was not like that in our days. People like to work. People wanted to earn a living through decent labor, you know. And but these days, it's not like that.
Well, the AGF refused to honor the EFCC's invitation, you know, on and on before he was picked up. So why do you think most of these personalities, most of these so-called bigwigs, people who hold public offices, whenever they are found wanting about certain issue or involved in one scandal or the other, they do not honor the invitation of the EFCC or even summons by the National Assembly. So why do you think this is always so?
Let me just say this. It's because of it's leadership. It's part of leadership failing. I won't say failure, but failing in responsibility is a sign. It's a symptom. Now, when in medical science, you don't say you have a sickness until you analyze the symptoms. But it's a symptom. You see, because when the leaders that are supposed, and if somebody is pretending over this guy, and then all these things is coming, and you know, and nobody is even lifting a finger. You see, one thing I've discovered in Nigerian society is when you see people who have money, they are pompous, they are full of themselves, and they look at it. Is it not police? Is it not what is it? When it comes to this thing, I will spend money for them. Everybody has you know, prize on his or her head. And then somebody working in the public service that have people over him superintending is still, whichever way, is still reporting to somebody. I know if it's Auditor General, well, the president cannot even sack him. But as the Accountant General of the Federation, they are still line of reportage. I work in the civil service before I retire. You see, so somebody should have, you know, called this guy to order. You have been summoned. Why don't you just go as a gentleman? You see, if you don't have any skeleton in your cupboard, go there, honor the invitation. You see, and if you are arrested, let it be. That is honor. You see, but you find out most people in government in Nigeria, I don't know whether it's a mentality that they think it will be their father's house. Even your father's house, you can die if you are not disowned. You see, but when they are in that office, there's a spirit for me, to me personally, that just envelop them, and then they just believe I will be here forever. But you will not be there forever. You will exit. Just like some people have resigned their appointment now, you know, and they wanted at the back door to come in again. And it's like, no, the door has been shut. We have done valedictory something for you, so go. You see, because when they're in that office, some people believe they are 10 gods. So other Nigerians they are supposed to serve. They are supposed to be the chief servant. You are not the lord of the man over anybody. You are the chief servant. Well, so that's what I would say.
Well, if you recall, in June 2019, after serving a term, President Muhammad Buhari, reappointed Mr. Idris for his second 4-year term. So, despite criticisms from labor groups, CSOs, and all that, they said the Accountant General should retire after turning 60. According to so, the question is, why is it commonplace for this government, or even some other governments before it, to honor, or why is it commonplace for them to overlook simple laws?
Now, that's what I'm saying. That is a symptom or sign of failing leadership. You see, like even when Mr. President had to, until there was a Federal Executive Council meeting, for me as a columnist, I was just reading and writing. You see, so there's something of honor. There's something of honor. And until there was that meeting, and then somebody now said, Mr. President, I just want to thank you for the opportunity you are giving me. I've already dropped my resignation letter as minister. Was it the time our president woke up? It's supposed to be hard, because there are so many things that government now look the other way, and you are wondering what is happening. What is happening? Even in the military, of course, there's a term used to the military with immediate effect. I mean, you are appointed, so you are not even elected. So what is it? But today, you see, even people who are supposed to talk. And you know what? Let me just say this. Like it was pointed out some time back, when this guy was 60, they're supposed to retire. He was not retired. Now, somebody said this man cannot embezzle 80 billion naira alone. And I believe that it's not possible. He had to work in concert, and there's already a lead that there are some policies, there's this, and it is good to beam the searchlight on this. Who are the processes? Who are these? And then we'll be able to see. You see, because when all these networks are there, they are the ones that will go and press buttons in high quarters. And then at the end of the day, we may not get the result that the nation is expecting.
But at the end of the day, it's still an allegation, because it's still an investigation.
It's an allegation. It is.
But let's look at the person of Mr. Idris, as we've actually done a little, time. Mr. Idris has got enough industry experience. He's a chartered accountant with over 2 decades of work experience. But do you feel there could be, there could be many other things to unravel about the person of AGF Idris?
Well, about the personality, well, Idris could be anybody. Idris, it could be Idris. Next time it could be Chuku. Next time it could be Ade. So, but one thing that is that you see, for people in such positions, it is high time government too should have a kind of mechanism to, that they will not even be known to these guys in position. You see, until they embarrass us internationally, that it's like watching a kind of this thing. In Harvard, there was something we were taught about diagnostic. There's something that you'll be looking at, a kind of a screen that already will give you a feeler. This is going to happen. It's a ticking time bomb. So before all this thing will happen, such a guy will have been within internally. It won't even make a noise. EFCC will not even come in. The guy will have been relieved of the post, and the thing will have been done with, and it will have saved the nation the embarrassment. You know how these news are traveled now. And what impact it will be having on our economy, because this is an economic crime. Now, to let you know, if proven, because it's still an allegation, to let you know the import of this, there was a time I was staying in Malaysia, and a Nigerian traded in fake dollars. Just about how many pieces were found on him? Less than 10. But to them, in that country, it's a serious crime. The fake dollar with you, the way they took the matter up, the way the guy was convicted, I mean, we were all shocked. All of us Africans, they said, it's not just how many pieces, but that's them. You see, until we begin to be strict, you see, like that. I remember I read a book called Tipping Point. And in that particular book, in the state of New York, crime was committed over and over than other states, and they try all in America. They couldn't arrest the drift. Do you know what happened? They now discover that small crime, people doing graffiti, maybe seeing the picture of the president and write something on, and then some other people picking pockets, some little crime. You see the security forces going after this. And when they went after this, they discover, after some time, the big crime cease. What is the implication of that? It is the small criminals. When they are abiding, the system allows them, the law allows them, they become big-time criminals. And that's what we are witnessing in Nigeria.
Well, he is also a member of the professional bodies, including the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, the Certified Institute of Coast Management of Nigeria, and very interestingly, the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. He's a member of that. So, but despite this, his hands are allegedly found in a cookie jar. If found guilty, do you think some of these professional bodies would mete out punitive measures? They
may not. Some of them may not. You know why? Let me tell you this. You see, some of these people, they are high financiers of these associations and these bodies. This is what I'm saying, you know. And some of them may likely look the other way at the end of the day. They may be silent, you know. And, you know, because we have seen some of these cases before, especially some of them donating like 10 million, don't mention my name, it's anonymous, you know, I'm a public office, you know, this kind of thing happening.
Patron.
Yes, so because of that, say, he's a good man, no, he's a personal person, no. But when we continue to do this, we are doing damage to the physique of our nation, you know, and, you know, it does not portray us as serious in the international community.
Well, Nigeria has actually struggled for decades, you know, with endemic corruption among senior public servants, officials, and the political elite, who many Nigerians blame for widespread poverty in the country and all of this. So would it even be possible for us to eradicate poverty in the country? Because we talked about, or we've often talked about eradication of poverty, bringing out different schemes. But with these kind of things, is it possible for us to stamp out poverty out of our system?
Well, it's possible, but then we need a forthright leader. We need a leader who has a sense of patriotism and nationalism to actually be there. You see, and we need somebody. That was why people when Abiola won the election, they were jubilant all over Nigeria, not just in the southwest, because Nigeria could see that this was a man who passed through poverty. Abiola knew poverty, that, oh, with the opportunity, things will be better. And they already have been making promises along. You need somebody who passed through that route before, and somebody who now have a sense of, you know, service, to be a servant leader, you know, to actually begin to put things together. And when you are doing things like this, Nigeria have failed in this aspect before. Federal government in particular, you know, you just hear certain amount of money is in central bank, this one scheme for farmers, for this and that. Do they have monetary evaluation metrics to actually look at this thing, to make sure that, you know, these funds are being dispensed as they should be dispensing, you know? But you discover that, you know, we just do something and you just hear one figure. And then people will be wondering, will this poverty still continue? Are we really doing anything? If the government is serious, why can't we involve the civil society organization? Why couldn't we involve some, you know, human rights activists in monitoring this and reporting, you know, to the people, so that, you know, people will know that, oh, there's accountability, there's probity, there's transparency in whatever we are doing. So it can be done, but then that leader must have a sense of nationalism and patriotism to make things transparent, to make things accountable, you know, to the public.
Well, the Economic Crimes and Financial Commission has actually, you know, successfully prosecuted, you know, head of police, head of, you know, former state governors, and some other top public office holders and some other top personalities. They've actually successfully done that. And in some other cases, they failed. What are your expectations in this regard? Now,
we should even give kudos, you know, apart from talking around all this, to EFCC. And to the young chap there, you know, when he wanted to call me, some of us were looking at this guy is young, he cannot do much. But we should give kudos to him, you know, because this is a high-profile government official. You know, just like we have had some cases also that, you know, EFCC, they were able to crack and, you know, through the thing up to the national something. So, but then I think EFCC should now begin to work with the National Assembly, the Senate and the House of Rep, to look at our law. Because, you see, imagine, you know, think about it. Some people, politicians, during the time of President Jonathan time, they are still on trial. Some other people, I don't even want to mention government. You see, what is happening to our Eastern laws? So that is why the EFCC, if nobody in the National Assembly is thinking along this line, they are not thinking. Then it is the onus lie on the EFCC, the ICPC also to come together and look at these laws that makes people to just escape after embezzling 300, I mean, like 20 billion, 30 billion. And then somebody will just, you know, after, and even the recent step by the government to requesting for state pardon for some of these things. You know, it's condemnable.
I was actually going to ask you.
It is condemnable. Yeah. You see, because people will say, well, I'm just there, you know, and after 2 years, 3 years, I will have some lawyers, they will plead for me, and then, you know, if I, maybe my friends are in government of the day, they will let me go, you know, like that. So
finally, what does this say about, you know, the administration stance against corruption? We know we are faced with a lot of issues, the economic problem, insecurity, and then another fulcrum, which it stands on, is to stamp out corruption. What does this say, finally?
Now, when the president came into power in 2015, you know, there were two fulcrums, I remember. One was that, oh, insecurity will be dealt with. Second was that, oh, corruption, because, you know, Baba Buhari was known, you know, no nonsense when it comes to corruption. But one thing is this, I remember during the time of President Shehu Shagari, the man, you know, was a former minister of finance before. Yeah. The man was non-corrupt. You see, but people around him, and this is another thing for the government, for this present government. Within 10 months now that this government is here, thank God some ministers have visited the cabinet. It is time to look inward now and begin to put some things right. You see, and touchlight some things. You see, and then our president should be taking decision swiftly. A lot of things happen. Images of people didn't put on resignation letter, and it was all in the news. Even the same CBN governor, for crying out loud, you are taking side, you know, with a political party, and we are keeping sensitive material under your watch. Does that make sense? You see what is happening in our nation, and then nobody is even doing anything. You know, people will be looking at us. Is this a comical nation, or what is happening? Right. You know, so we need to wake up and take swift decisions at the right time.
Well, I think it's a convenient place for us to, you know, leave the conversation for now and continue to monitor the event that will actually come out after all of these issues. Harvard Certified Leadership Strategist and Consultant, Dr. John Ekundayo. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.